Have you ever had that feeling, you're constantly busy, your inbox is overflowing, tasks are piling up, but at the end of the day, there's this nagging sense that the really important stuff, the things that actually move the needle.
Untouched. Yeah.
Exactly. Untouched. It feels like time is this mischievous imp just slipping right through your fingers.
That's a great way to put it. And that's precisely how Elena felt. She's the person we're focusing on in this deep dive.
Right, Elena.
Yeah, her journey, it really mirrors that struggle so many of us face. She was, the kind of person who'd read every productivity article, tried every planner imaginable.
Oh, I know the type. Or maybe I am the type sometimes.
Yeah. Well, nothing seemed to stick for her. And it's a common frustration, isn't it? All the advice out there can actually feel overwhelming, which kind of ironically makes it even harder to figure out what works.
Okay, so that's where we come in with this deep dive. We want to unpack Elena's transformation. She ended up calling it decoding the Chronos code.
Which sounds fancy, but it's not some, secret formula.
No, not at all. It's really a practical approach, a powerful one for mastering time, sure, but maybe more importantly, mastering effectiveness. We've dug through the stack of insights she came across.
The articles, the books, the talks.
Exactly. And we're here to pull out the absolute key nuggets of wisdom, all aimed at helping you shift from just being busy, spinning your wheels, to being truly effective.
And for Elena, the real starting point, the lightning bolt moment, it came from something pretty simple, actually. A reframe by Laura Vanderkam.
Ah, Vanderkam. Okay.
Yeah, Elena stumbled onto this video, I think it was, where Vanderkam just says, we don't not have enough time, we just don't prioritize what matters.
Wow. Okay, that hits hard. It sounds simple, but it flips the whole script, doesn't it?
Completely.
So how did Elena actually take that, we don't not have enough time, we just don't prioritize what matters, and, turn it into something real? What was the first concrete thing she did differently based on that thought?
That's the key question, right? Because it's one thing to hear it.
And another to live it.
Exactly. She realized it wasn't about finding some magical extra hours in the day. It was about consciously choosing how to spend the time she already had. So her first tangible step was a pretty brutal audit of her calendar.
Ooh, okay. Brutal how?
She looked at every single recurring meeting, every automatic yes she'd been giving, and she just asked, is this actually a priority? Or is it just, a habit I fell into? It shifted her perspective from being sort of a passive recipient of demands on her time.
Right.
To being an active architect of her day.
Okay, architect of her day. I like that. So once she started looking at her time as a choice, this thing she could design, what did she find? How was she actually spending it?
What she quickly realized right after that Vanderkam reframe was pretty startling. It was how much she, like most of us probably, was inadvertently sort of engineering her own busy work, low-impact stuff.
Engineering busy work. How so?
This really clicked for her when she got into Richard Koch's The 80-20 Principle. You know the one?
Vaguely, yeah. The idea that 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort.
Precisely. But Elena saw it wasn't just about finding that magic 20%. It was also about actively, consciously disengaging from the other 80%, the stuff that drains your energy for minimal return.
Ah, okay. So she suddenly saw it. Clearly, she was spending huge amounts of time on tasks that barely mattered. The trivial many, as Koch calls them, were just drowning out the vital few.
Exactly.
I can imagine that being a bit of a shock, like pulling back a curtain and seeing the mess behind it. But how did she figure out which were the vital few? Amidst all the noise and the urgent but not important stuff, was it obvious or did it take time?
Oh, it was definitely a process, not an overnight thing.
Right.
And it really started when she realized she couldn't even think clearly enough to identify her vital few because her head was just full, constantly buzzing.
Relatable.
Totally. And that's where David Allen's Getting Things Done, GTD, became absolutely essential for her.
GTD, right. The system.
Yeah, Allen's whole method is basically like a mental decluttering service, getting absolutely everything out of your head and into a system you trust.
Mental decluttering service. That's a great description. But, for a lot of people, myself included sometimes, just the idea of starting that decluttering process feels like another overwhelming task on the list.
Oh, absolutely. That's a really common hurdle.
Did Elena struggle with that initial setup, or was the payoff immediate once she started using GTD?
She definitely admitted that the initial capture everything phase felt chaotic, just dumping everything out.
I bet.
But the relief, she said, once everything was externalized, once she started clarifying what each item actually was and what needed to happen, it was immediate. and profound.
Really immediate relief.
Yeah, because it freed up so much cognitive energy. Suddenly her brain wasn't trying to juggle and remember 50 different things.
Well,
It could actually think about what mattered. It let her identify those vital few without all the mental static getting in the way.
okay, that makes sense. So GTD clears the mental fog. The 80-20 principle helps her see the high-impact stuff.
Yeah.
What came next? She's got clarity now.
Right. Clarity gives you resolve, doesn't it? The resolve to actually tackle those important things head on. And that led her straight to Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog.
Ah, yes. Eat the frog.
Such a memorable title. Tracy's advice is incredibly simple, but it's so effective. Identify your most important task, usually the one you're dreading the most. That's your frog.
Your biggest, ugliest frog.
Exactly. And you tackle it first thing in the morning, before anything else.
It sounds so, I don't know, unpleasant eating a frog, but it really is about getting that one thing you least want to do off your plate first, right? For me, sometimes that feels less like a frog and more like a giant slimy toad. How did Elena actually apply this?
Well, she immediately pinpointed her frog. It was dedicating a solid hour each morning to outlining this passion project she'd been putting off forever.
Okay.
It felt huge, really intimidating, but she remembered what Tracy promised. Eat that frog first, and you get this incredible momentum, the sense of accomplishment that just powers you through the rest of the day.
And it stops you from procrastinating on it all day, draining your mental energy just thinking about it.
Precisely. Just thinking about the frog can be exhausting. So she did it. She ate the frog, and much to her surprise, she said it actually felt really good. Energizing, even.
Okay, so she's identifying the vital few, she's tackling the big ugly frogs first thing, but I imagine another classic problem popped up pretty quickly as she started trying to do this important work.
Let me guess. Distraction.
Bingo. How did she actually build the focus needed for that important work when, the world is designed to constantly pull at our attention? Phones buzzing, emails dinging, colleagues stopping by.
You nailed it. Distraction is the absolute arch nemesis of doing anything meaningful. Her phone buzzed, emails popped up, a colleague would swing by her desk.
Yeah.
The internet was always just a click away.
The usual suspects.
Exactly. And this is where Cal Newport's concept of deep work became her shield, really.
Ah, Newport. Big fan.
Yeah, he champions that focused, uninterrupted concentration on a single demanding task. The kind of work that actually creates new value, that requires real thought.
He argues pretty convincingly, I think, that the truly valuable stuff happens in those deep work sessions, not in the kind of scattered, multi-tabbed, notification-driven chaos that most of us call a workday.
Absolutely.
But again, the practicalities. For someone used to constant interruption, maybe someone in an open-plan office, for instance, how did Elena actually create those sacred deep work blocks? Was it easy? Could she just flip a switch?
That's such a critical point because your environment matters hugely.
Yeah.
She found she couldn't just decide to do deep work. She had to actively design her environment and schedule for it.
Design for it.
She started literally scheduling specific deep work blocks into her calendar, like appointments she couldn't miss. During those blocks, notifications off, phone out of sight. And this was a bold move for her.
Yeah.
She actually put up a polite but clear deep work in progress, please do not disturb sign on her desk.
Wow, okay. That takes guts, especially in some office cultures.
It did. And she had to communicate her boundaries. It wasn't always easy, and it definitely took consistency. People had to get used to it. But the results, they were astounding. She found that 1 hour of truly focused, deep work was often more productive than 4 hours of scattered, interrupted effort.
That's incredible. It just shows the power of dedicated attention.
It really does.
Okay, so we've got prioritizing, clearing the mind, tackling the big tasks, and protecting focus. What was the final piece? Was there an overarching philosophy that kind of tied all these threads together for Elena, something that helped her make this stick?
Yes, there was. And it came from Greg McKeown's Essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less.
Essentialism.
Yeah.
Less but better.
Exactly. McKeown's philosophy isn't just about managing time, it's deeper. It's about managing yourself and your choices. He taught Elena to constantly, relentlessly ask, what is truly essential?
Okay.
And then the crucial follow-up. How can I make my highest possible contribution towards that? It's a fundamental shift away from trying to cram more in towards deliberately, strategically choosing what to leave out.
Which inevitably means learning to say no.
The big one.
Politely but firmly. Saying no to requests, opportunities, even good things if they simply don't align with that essential 20%. That sounds incredibly difficult for most people.
We're wired to please, right?
Yeah.
How did Elena handle the discomfort of setting those boundaries?
Oh, it was incredibly difficult for her at first. really uncomfortable. She had to internalize that saying no to something good often meant saying yes to something truly great, her essential priorities.
How did she phrase it?
She started small, sometimes offering alternatives or briefly explaining why she couldn't commit, linking it back to needing to focus on her highest contribution areas. The key thing she learned was that a thoughtful no to a non-essential task wasn't a rejection of the person asking.
Right. It's about the task, not them.
Exactly. It was an affirmation of her own focused priorities. It was about decluttering her commitments, just like she decluttered her desk and her mind.
So looking back at Elena's journey, the shift wasn't overnight, clearly. It was gradual.
Definitely gradual, built insight by insight. But the change sounds profound. She wasn't necessarily doing more hours, maybe even fewer.
Probably fewer in the long run, yeah. She was doing less, but doing it so much better. She got ruthless in a good way about prioritizing, and she learned to guard that focused time like
a dragon guards its treasure.
Yes, exactly like that. That deep work time became precious.
And her to-do list, that thing that used to feel like a source of dread.
It completely transformed. It went from being this endless, overwhelming prison sentence to becoming more like a strategic map. It clearly highlighted the few critical things that would genuinely move her forward each day.
And the time she found.
Well, and found it all, was it? It was time she reclaimed from that 80% of lower value activities, the busy work, the distractions that just weren't moving the needle for her.
So one evening, maybe she sits down to work on that passion project, the one that used to be her frog.
Right. And she feels energized, clear-headed.
And she might have smiled, thinking about that mischievous Chronos imp. It hadn't vanished. Time still passes.
But she'd learned its code. She cracked it. She wasn't just busy anymore. She was effective.
And that, she realized, was the true art.
It's such an important lesson, isn't it? True effectiveness isn't about more effort, more hours, more brute force. It's about strategic clarity. It's about deliberate choice.
And understanding that every time you say yes to something,
you're implicitly saying no to something else. Everything has an opportunity cost.
Okay, so let's bring this home for everyone listening. After hearing about Elena's journey, reflecting on these principles, identifying your vital few, tackling your frog first, carving out that deep work time, pursuing what's essential, here's something to think about. What's one commitment or activity you're currently saying yes to that, if you're really honest, isn't truly essential to your highest contribution?
That's a tough question to ask yourself. And conversely, maybe think about this too. What's one frog, one important but maybe intimidating task that you've been avoiding, that if you tackled it first thing tomorrow, could actually energize the rest of your day?